On this program, we talk about news and politics and offer your humble host's opinions about things going on in our world. And I would like you to sit back and listen carefully to our discussion with filmmaker Andy Abrahams Wilson. His documentary is out, and if you go to the website Under Our Skin, you can get more information, find out where it might be screening on a big screen near you, and learn more, as I did, about Lyme disease. Andy, welcome to our program today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
As I explained to you before we went on microphone here, before I saw your documentary, I was one of those people who thought, oh, Lyme disease. You play in the woods, a tick that was on a deer lands on you, infects you, you go to the doctor after you get a rash or a few other relatively minor symptoms. They give you a course of antibiotics, and, it's over and done, and you're on your way. But the story is much deeper than that, and your film reveals the layers. And as we'll discuss here, there are people who develop Lyme disease, some who know how they caught it, and others who don't. And they often have very difficult times navigating the medical system. And then the very doctors who are, and there are few and far between, who treat Lyme disease, who are attempting to help those patients, often end up penalized for the work that they do, and we'll get into some detail on that. What got you interested in Lyme disease and the cases that you profile in this powerful film?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit it on the head, which was our own assumptions about Lyme disease. And I was not too different from you not too long ago. And I think one of the assumptions that you didn't mention was that it's an East Coast disease.
Right. Connecticut, Lyme, Lyme, Connecticut.
Right. It originated, or it was first identified in Lyme, Connecticut, and that's why it's called Lyme disease. And my journey through this filmmaking process was very similar to that of anyone else. So I didn't start this project with any axe to grind or any particular knowledge one way or another. It was accidental. My twin sister had Lyme disease years ago. She lives in upstate New York, and I just remember she was always sort of tired and achy and couldn't get up off of the couch. And I remember that she couldn't find a doctor to diagnose her properly and to get proper treatment. But that was really all I knew about Lyme disease. And so it was very similar to where you were coming from. It wasn't until a friend of mine here in California got very sick, sicker and sicker, nobody knew what was going on. She was diagnosed with MS and then ALS, which is basically a death sentence.
Lou Gehrig's disease,
yes.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, she got a Lyme disease diagnosis. So when that came about, I just remember being shocked because it challenged all my assumptions about Lyme disease, which you listed prior. Mm-hmm. And as I began looking deeper into the issue, what I uncovered was just untold numbers of people who were suffering and who were falling through the cracks of our healthcare system. And not only that, but even as they were suffering, told that there's nothing wrong with them and it's all in their head. So the film is certainly a treatise about Lyme disease and about this hidden epidemic, which really is affecting untold numbers. It's at least 10 times greater than AIDS infection in the United States. But it's also a case study for what's wrong with our healthcare system and our medical research system and our insurance system.
Well, there's incredible denial on the part of medical professionals about whether there even is such a thing as chronic Lyme disease.
Correct. And that is actually the orthodoxy. That is what's being taught in medical schools, and that's what most physicians believe. And they believe it because that's what they're taught. That's what they're told. The gatekeepers of the Lyme disease definition and treatment are putting it out there that Lyme disease is easy to diagnose and easy to treat, and that there is no evidence for it to be a persistent infection. And that's where all the controversy comes in.
Mm-hmm. So let's play an excerpt from the film, and again, you can find this on the web at underourskin.com. And this is a park ranger named Jordan who was working in the Lake Tahoe area, and his case is remarkable because he actually knew when he was bitten by a tick, and he saved that tick. He preserved it, and maybe we'll hear that in the excerpt here.
My case was sort of cut and dried. A, I was a park ranger. B, I knew exactly when I was bitten and I saved a tick and brought it to my doctor. C, I had a red rash. And D, I had a rather classic case of neurological Lyme disease with all the usual trimmings. But I brought all that to the doctors, and it took 5 doctors to figure it out.
I don't think you're sick. I don't think there's anything wrong with you.
Everybody's telling you it's in your head. You know it's not in your head.
We don't think there's anything wrong with you.
There is nothing wrong.
We've done your labs. Your labs are fine. You're fine.
There's no medicine for someone like you. You're an attractive girl, and obviously you don't feel like you're getting enough attention.
So imagining, and I put myself in the position of these individuals, and I'm going from doctor to doctor, being told, well, have you seen a psychiatrist? And are you getting enough sleep? And the people you profile at first want to trust their doctors and say, okay, well, maybe it is me. But after time goes on and the conditions don't change, in fact, they get worse, and some of the gripping video footage that you show of these patients who filmed themselves as they were going through seizures and watching their motor functions decline. Jordan, the park ranger, started to lose cognitive ability. You show him driving places where he says, oh, I should have turned there. And it's really easy to connect with and relate to these people. And it's stunning that we haven't developed some way of integrating treatment for this into the medical system. And as we get into it a little later, you'll describe some of the economic reasons and some of the kind of closed ranks of these medical organizations that make that more difficult. But talk a little bit about just the way that people contract the illness and the fact that many of them aren't bitten by a tick the way Jordan was.
Okay. Before I get to that, I just want to comment on something that you brought up, which is that all these people going doctor to doctor, and what we wanted to do in the film is get across the idea that this is not just a few random people. In most documentaries, that's what's done. You get about 3 to 4 representative subjects and that tell the story, but there were so many people here that we're talking about, and we're challenging the assumption that it really is just a few people. So we wanted to show or hear those stories as you did in that clip, that it's story after story. These are not isolated stories, and I think what's important about this is that for every story that you hear of someone who said they finally did get a Lyme disease diagnosis after all those doctors they've been to, there must be countless of others who didn't get that diagnosis, who stuck with that diagnosis of fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome or MS or ALS, even worse. And who knows what happened to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really my passion behind this is saving lives. If people die from Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS, and what would have happened to my friend if she just accepted that diagnosis? We listen to our doctors. We believe them when they tell us what's wrong with us, and she might not be here today if she did.